Welcome to the Safe Money Retirement Show with certified financial fiduciary Tim Wood.
This is all about helping people. That is why I am so passionate about this, because it's literally getting up every day and helping people plan for the rest of their lives. Make a plan, because I promise you're going to sleep better.
Tim is a retirement and income planning expert, best-selling author, and the founder of SafeMoneyRetirement.com. Tim focuses on wealth management, retirement income, tax and long-term care planning, and so much more.
Let's sit down. Let's make sure we have got a holistic plan. We're not just looking at one thing.
And now, the Safe Money Retirement Show with Tim Wood.
Welcome into this week's edition of the Safe Money Retirement Show. Alongside Tim Wood, he's the founder, president, and certified financial fiduciary with Safe Money Retirement. My name's Kevin McAlpin. Hope you're having a great day. And of course, Tim and I thank you for being with us here on the program. Lots to get to on the show here today. Coming up in just a few moments, Tim's going to tell you how he helps his clients really handle the emotional side of retirement. Plus, we're going to tell you some financial questions you should be asking of your aging parents. We'll get to that and much, much more. But first things first, we say hello to the star of the show, the man of the hour, and of course, my buddy Tim Wood. Tim, how are you today, my friend?
I am doing well, Kevin. I hope you're doing well. I hope all the listeners are doing well. And let's rock and roll.
I'm doing well, but I got to be honest, I'm a little sore because the leaves I've noticed are falling a little bit earlier than I'm used to. Like, they started in August, and my buddies in the neighborhood are going like, wait a minute, this is like an October thing. What in the... Mother Nature's got to figure this thing out, man.
It has been kind of a weird, these last few weeks have been kind of weird. It got really cool, then it's been, I agree.
I've got a feeling that we're in for like that October back to the 90s thing where we kind of put away the shorts and the t-shirts, and then all of a sudden Mother Nature's going to say, not so fast. It might feel like fall. You might have the pumpkins out, but I'm bracing for at least 1 or 2 more rounds of warm weather. What about you?
I agree totally. Same thing happens in the spring. You think it's finally time for the warm, and then here we get another cold front and it snows again. 100%.
You and I have not been doing the show together all that long. We've been together about a month or so, but I will just warn you, once we get back around into spring, I think the older I get, the worse my allergies are getting. Like, there's days, man, I can't even function. So I'll take this cooler weather, this drier weather over allergy season. That's for sure.
Yeah. And I always had bad allergies back when I used to live in Florida. But the weird thing is, once I moved up to Tennessee, my spring allergies actually got better. But now I have fall allergies. I don't even know what it is. I don't know if it's mold or what it is. But yeah, my allergies are actually worse now in the fall.
Well, I think you're going to just probably need to take it easy for a little while. Maybe we can talk to your wife. Maybe we can just tell, he needs a little time on the couch, Saturdays, Sunday afternoons. Just take it easy, regroup a little bit.
Yeah, please do. Make that call this afternoon, Kevin.
All right, I will. Well, it's very easy to remember your bride's name. It's the same as mine, Melissa. We have a couple of Melissas at home, so I'll see what I can do for you. Maybe I put a good word in for you.
I appreciate that.
There you go. Well, listen, I know we have a lot to talk about on the show here today. Before we do, though, I got a question for you. Are you a game show guy? Are you a Wheel of Fortune and Jeopardy guy?
I've always liked Jeopardy. Yeah, we love Jeopardy. We watch it a lot. I've never really gotten much into Wheel. I mean, I'll watch it every once in a while. My wife really likes it. But I like Jeopardy, and I really like the celebrity Jeopardies. I don't know if you ever watched any of them, but I like watching the celebrity Jeopardies, and then even like the Jeopardy Tournament of Champions, where all the really smart dudes come in.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know any of the answers to any of the questions, but it's still cool watching it.
See, that's where I like the celebrity version better, because I feel like I get a lot more answers right than
100%.
wrong. And I'll try to impress the kids. I've got a 10-year-old and a 5-year-old at home, and we'll typically watch the first round, and then I'm like, let's see what else is on, because Double Jeopardy, man, I got no shot. First round, I think I can get about half the questions right, but that second round, it gets harder and harder. Well, the reason I'm asking, Tim, Jeopardy, believe it or not, is in its 42nd year on television, and it still ranks as one of the most watched TV game shows. Well, comedian Ryan Beck, he loves that it hasn't changed the format, especially when they come back from that first commercial break. Take a listen to this.
And they interview the 3 people, and they have nothing to say. They just need one fun fact, and they got nothing. They're coming up empty. Because these 3 people have worked their entire lives to get on to Jeopardy. That's their fun fact. They're on Jeopardy now. So at a party later, they can be like, I was on Jeopardy one time. But they can't be on Jeopardy and be like, I'm currently on Jeopardy. The host just comes over. Deborah, it says here that you once took a bus to Delaware? That's right, I did. It was a pretty big bus, so.
Well, Tim, the reason I wanted to play that soundbite is much like what you do and what we talk about on the show. A lot of our listeners, they work their entire lives, preparing financially for retirement, but they don't really consider that emotional side of things when the work life ends. So let's talk about, I know we've mentioned the psychology of retirement, but when it comes to painting that picture for your clients, really helping them visualize what life looks like, and more importantly, find purpose in that next chapter. How can you help our listeners and your clients do that on a daily basis?
I think that the emotional side of retirement is one of the biggest things that is overlooked. People don't even think about it until you're there. So yeah, that's one of the things that in a lot of cases, not every single client I talk to this about, but I talk to a lot of my clients about that. And emotionally, think about how much better you're going to be emotionally. Okay, let's say right now you're 62. You're listening and you're in your 60s. Okay, great. Well, emotionally right now, you can handle things pretty well. How are you going to be able to handle things in your 80s? What are you going to do in your 80s if you don't have enough income? Mm-hmm. How is that going to affect you emotionally? How is it going to affect your kids? How's it going to affect your grandkids? That I have this exact discussion with clients all the time. Yes, it makes sense. And yes, we always say, income in retirement is what brings happiness, and we want you to be happy. And that's a big part of, the emotional part of retirement. You need to be happy, but you also need to think about the other side and what can you do to stave off the negative emotions. And that's a really big thing. There's a lot of people in retirement. And you know what? The other side of this that I talk to people about, it's not just financial. Financial is a big thing as far as your emotional health in retirement, but it's not just about your money. You need to stay active. You need to stay connected to your church family or the community or your friends or whatever you do, your fantasy football group, whatever it is, you need to stay connected because that's going to bring you a lot of emotional happiness and normalcy and everything as you move through retirement. But really the biggest thing is making sure you're not going to fall off that cliff, making sure you're not in a situation where you are just praying to God you've got enough money, because if you don't, now you have to become a ward of the state and you're going to live in whatever facility they put you in. And if some of the listeners have been in some of those facilities, I've been in them, and it's a challenge. That's the nice way to put it. Right. It's one of those where the doors open and it just kind of hits you and it wafts and hits you in the face and you're like, oh my God, I have to walk in here. That kind of a thing. Do you really want to be in there? No. So let's make a plan now. So in your 80s or 90s, that doesn't happen. So yeah, dealing with the emotional part of retirement is a really big deal.
And obviously, much like Jeopardy has really stuck to its format for 40 plus years, do you find that when you sit down with folks, they're just so, structure oriented? They've gone to work 40 hours a week. They've taken the same commute. They've been around the same people. They've got that, they've got that life that they're not really sure, how to branch out and take that next step and I guess, create that new routine in their next phase.
Yeah, and I talk about that with people. I call it a part-time retirement. There's a lot of people that's the situation that they're in, and I suggest, well, have you considered a part-time retirement? Well, what are you talking about? Well, a lot of companies, I'm not going to say all, but I would actually probably at this point say most, will allow you to do a part-time retirement. So instead of working 40 hours a week, how about we step it down? Mm-hmm. How about at first you're only working 20 hours a week? That way you're still, 2-3 days a week, you're still getting up, you're still going. Doesn't necessarily have to be first thing in the morning. Maybe instead of being there at 8:30, you don't have to be there till 10:30. So instead of getting up at 6:30 in the morning, now you're sleeping until 8:30. Well, that doesn't sound too bad. You could get up at 8:30 a few days a week and go, do your stuff. And the company is going to appreciate it. You're going to appreciate it. So there's opportunities for that. There's also opportunities to do other things like volunteer. And I have discussed before, I've got a lot of people that found something that they were so passionate about once they retired. Lady said, I've always had a heart for women that were pregnant and didn't have anywhere to live. But then she got involved with this local charity, and now that she gets up first thing in the morning, and that's her focus. But it's awesome. I mean, and imagine how fulfilling that must be to go home every single night knowing that you've made a huge difference in these young women's lives.
Yeah.
So finding something to help you stay connected, it's absolutely vital. And it can be a part-time retirement. I mean, the great part about that is you're still making money. But it doesn't have to be. It can be whatever. But finding something that you can stay focused on that's going to get you out of bed. The last thing you want to do is sit on that couch all day. Sitting is the new smoking. We've all heard that. You cannot do that because, I mean, if you want to die soon, then do that. Because that's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
You've got to stay active. You've got to get out. You've got to do things. And that's going to help you, be able to make that transition a lot smoother by having something to do. Because, it would be scary for me if I said I'm going to retire and I had no plan and I was just sitting in my lazy boy all day. I would do that for about a week. It would be fun, maybe 2, maybe even a month. But then I'd be like, okay, what am I going to do now? This is,
Well, listen, if you're in a similar situation, maybe you're approaching your retirement, you're listening today, well, you fit one of 2 categories. You either have an advisor or you don't. And if you're looking for some guidance when it comes to the emotional side of retirement, trying to find purpose, trying to find a way to navigate the next step of life. Tim, I know a lot of folks will say that retirement is sort of the finish line, but let's be honest, Tim, when it comes to that next step, it's sort of the start line, right? You're starting a whole new phase. So I think folks look at it as the end, but it's the end of your working years. But this is the start of a brand new chapter of life. This is an exciting time for a lot of folks, even though it might feel a little overwhelming at times.
That's right. To use another football analogy, I would say it's halftime.
Yeah.
It's not the end of the game. It is not the end of regulation. It's halftime. And it's when you can make adjustments. It's you can plan, how do you want to live that second half of your life? And if you think about it with medical advancements, if we just say people are now going to live to somewhere around 100, which I know that's pushing it a little, but you worked for 40 years, now you're going to be retired for 40 years, it kind of is halftime. I mean, now granted, it may be getting into the third quarter, but still, you've got plenty of life left to live. Let's make a plan that's going to make you happy for that second half.
Well, if you'd like to learn more about that second half as you inch closer and closer to your retirement, it might feel overwhelming, but let's be honest, it doesn't have to be. Let Tim Wood and the team at Safe Money Retirement sit down with you, help you put that plan in place for your financial future. You'd like to learn more about the emotions you might expect to encounter in your retirement. Maybe you'd like to put a plan in place that allows you to have that part-time retirement, like Tim mentioned moments ago. Folks, keep this number handy, 800-913-SAFE. Again, it's 800-913-7233. Or you can always schedule your 15-minute discovery call by visiting safemoneyretirement.com. Again, folks, it's safemoneyretirement.com. All right, we're going to give you a couple of minutes to make that call. Get yourself on Tim's calendar, and we'll continue with much more of this week's edition of the Safe Money Retirement Show coming up right after this.
Welcome to Willie's Wings, home of the secret sauce.
I'll take a dozen wings. Oh, by the way, I love that sauce. What's in it?
Can't tell you.
Why not?
It's a secret.
While many financial advisors claim to have that secret sauce, they really don't. In fact, their sauce is so good, why are they keeping it a secret? Tim Wood of Safe Money Retirement doesn't keep anything a secret. He knows there's much more to retirement planning than stocks, bonds, and mutual funds. Tim will develop a strategy designed specifically for you. It's your own secret sauce for retirement. Call 800-913-SAFE. That's 800-913-7233 or online at safemoneyretirement.com.
Fine, you want to know what's in the sauce?
Absolutely.
Tablespoon of paprika.
Really?
And we welcome you back into this week's edition of the Safe Money Retirement Show. It's all powered by Safe Money Retirement, alongside the founder, president, and certified financial fiduciary, Oh, by the way, he's also the star of the show and my good buddy Tim Wood. My name's Kevin McAlpin. We hope you're having a wonderful day. And of course, we thank you so much for tuning in. Obviously, you're listening today. You're already taking that first step towards investing more time and more preparation into your future. And if you'd like to learn more, you'd like to get on Tim's calendar and schedule that 15-minute discovery call, folks, keep this number handy. 800-913-SAFE. Again, that number is 800-913-7233. Or you can always schedule that initial sit down with Tim and his team by visiting safemoneyretirement.com. Again, it's safemoneyretirement.com. Well, Tim, I know that sometimes conversations we have about our future aren't exactly the ones you're most looking forward to, but I wanted to throw this out there and really get some conversation going about questions that our listeners could be or maybe should be asking of their aging parents. There's a couple of them that I saw in this article on lifehacker.com said, do you have an estate plan? Have they changed power of attorney? How will care be provided and paid for? Now, these are all very important questions, but Tim, let me ask you, is there anything that this article is leaving out? Is there anything you would add to that list personally?
Well, those three things that you said, those are huge, and you absolutely need to have the answers to those. And yeah, I've got a couple other things, but first I will say, people, this is massively important. If you are dealing with an aging parent, I was dealing with this. I'm actually dealing with this right now, but I've made a plan. But you can't imagine how many people I have call me that are in their 40s or 50s, sometimes even 60s, and say, I have an aging parent and I don't have any idea what they're doing, and now they're in dementia and I don't know what plans they've got, and how do I find out, and how do I do this? It's hard to get a power of attorney once you've got a parent that is mentally incapable of doing things. Now you've got to get an attorney involved, and it's a whole thing. So the power of attorney is huge, estate plans, wills, all that stuff is huge. But let's just talk about, what are their wishes for their money? What do they want? Mm-hmm. What do they want to happen? Because you can make sure that happens for them, and you can make sure their wishes are granted as they move into retirement. And as they pass on, you can make sure that what they want to have happen. So sit down with them and say, Mom, Dad, what do you want to happen? I need to know. We need to write this stuff down, because something could happen in the moment. You know, the Lord could take any of us at any moment. What are you going to do? You got to be ready. And then secondly, like you just heard me say, what are your assets? What do you have? How do I log into that? How do I get to that? If there's even a way that, you can be put into some of those accounts so you can get into those immediately. That's what I've done with my parents. I'm actually, a co-owner on some of them, or co-signer, or depending on the different account. So if something were to happen to them, nothing even has to go through probate or anything. I can just go right in there and get it. So find out what the assets are, make a list of it so you know what you're looking for. I've even had clients that had a parent pass and not even know that they had a large account, and then 6 months, a year later, the company found out the person passed, and they're sending it to the kids. So now the kid's getting this huge check they didn't even know they were going to get. So yeah, make sure you know what those things are. Couple other things, big one. Have they updated their beneficiary forms? And if not, if they don't know, have them do it again. Because on any account, for every account that exists out there, if you send in a new beneficiary form, the moment the company receives it and it's time-stamped, that now is the beneficiary form. Everything else, it trumps everything. Mm-hmm. So make sure beneficiaries are updated on everything, because there's a story in my book, and just real quick, I had a lady that came in several years ago just completely distraught because her husband of about 20 years passed away. He had 401k, he had IRA, he had life insurance, but he had been married before. And guess what? He didn't change on any of that stuff. Mm-hmm. So she got nothing. So make sure the beneficiary or the beneficiary documents are all updated. That's huge. And then what are their funding requirements going to be when they're in retirement? You need to sit down and figure out, what's the plan? I mean, if you guys need assisted care, where are we going to go? What type of care do you want? Do you want in-home care? Do you want to be in a facility? Have those discussions. Yes, they're uncomfortable, and nobody wants to talk about it. It's kind of like talking about life insurance. Nobody wants to talk about their death ever. But man, it's an important conversation, isn't it?
Yeah, sure is.
We need to figure out what do you, Dad, what do you want to have happen when you pass? Okay, Mom, what do you want to have happen when you pass? You need to have those discussions. You need to have the discussions about what they have, about what their beneficiaries are. Do they have an estate plan? Do they have a will? Do you have power of attorney and durable power of attorney? Do you have all of these things? So if on a split second something happens, which sooner or later it probably will, you can be ready.
So let me ask you this. When it comes to having these conversations, is this something that you would encourage folks to do all at once? Do you spread these out? What have you seen works best? Because again, like you said, there's a lot of wishes, right? There's a lot of, if you're trying to leave behind a legacy or, that estate plan, you have the way you're envisioning you want things to go. But are these conversations that it's just best to have once and get them over with? Or do you feel like spreading them out can be a little more productive at times?
I'm going to give a very politician type answer to this. It depends on the situation.
Yeah.
With some people, if emotions weren't involved, I would say yes, having one sit down and going over everything is great. But for some people, like people in my family, that's too much at one time. So maybe you sit down one time and let's just talk about your beneficiaries. And what do we want to do there? Okay, get back together the next time you see them. Well, let's talk about power of attorney. What happens if you need someone to take care of and make decisions for you and whatever? Get that handled. Then the next time, okay, well, what all plans do you have just so I know what to... So it really depends on the person. Some people, the most efficient for sure is just sitting down and doing it. But for some people, that's too much. So for some people, you do kind of need to do it in stages.
Well, if you'd like to learn more about some of those conversations, if you have aging parents and you'd like to make sure everyone's on the same page when it comes to their financial future, Tim Wood and his team with Safe Money Retirement, they are here to help. Pick up the phone. Give him a call today. We have teammates standing by to get you on Tim's calendar to schedule that 15-minute discovery call by dialing 800-913-SAFE. Again, folks, that number is 800-913-7233. Or if you prefer, you can always visit Tim at the website. It's safemoneyretirement.com. Again, safemoneyretirement.com. Well, Tim, I know there's a lot of folks listening that think about taxes and they probably just visualize the middle of April. April 15th, and it's coming and gone. But I wanted to play this piece of sound for you. This is wealth manager Jeffrey Levine recently talking taxes with the Decoding Retirement podcast.
Another common mistake I see individuals make is focusing too much on their annual taxes and their annual tax bill and not enough on what I call their lifetime tax bill. When it comes to good tax planning, it's not about giving anybody the lowest tax bill in any one year. It's looking at their lifetime and trying to figure out how to pay taxes over that extended period of time such that the total of those taxes over your life is as low as possible.
And so, Tim, obviously, when it comes to putting a plan in place for listeners and for clients, tax is probably one of the most important pieces of that plan, right?
Absolutely. 100%. And that's just like Jeffrey said, a lot of people don't think about that. All they think about is, oh my gosh, what am I going to owe for 2025? And, what am I going to have to pay next April 15th for 2025? And yes, is that a big deal? It absolutely is. But brother, he's absolutely right. I mean, you need to look long term, and anything that you have got in an IRA, a 401k, any of those type of things, that is a tax bomb waiting to go off. Right now, we're at historically low tax rates. What are you going to do if those tax rates get bumped up significantly, which very well could happen depending on who the next person in the White House is and who the person after that is? I mean, let's be honest, it's probably only a matter of time till someone gets in there and jacks up the tax rates. Well, if that's when you're taking the money out and now the tax rates have jumped up, guess what? You're paying more taxes. Are there things you can do? Absolutely there are. But we need to sit down and make a plan. And that's why you hear me talk about making a holistic plan for people. We need to look at the whole thing, not just what are you going to pay in taxes in 2025 or 2026 or 2036. What are you going to pay in taxes from now till the end of your life? And can we control that? Yes. Right now, we are at historically low tax rates. We can look and see how much can we do what's called a Roth conversion. And I would be happy to talk to anyone specifically, and I do, about Roth conversions. We can get you into a plan where every year you can convert as much as you can afford to make sure you don't bump up to the next tax bracket and that you've got the money to pay the taxes on it. But we can convert as much as you possibly can every single year. Once it's converted to Roth, you pay the taxes now at the historically low rates. You don't ever have to worry about it again. You don't have to worry about the principal that you paid, or as long as that account's been open for 5 years, any growth that it's ever had. And actually, not even just that account, any Roth account. If you've had any Roth account open for 5 or more years, every dollar in a Roth is tax-free, including the growth. So making that plan for taxes long-term, Jeffrey's 100% accurate. It is huge. It's something people overlook, and making sure that they are going to be able to pay the least amount over the long haul is exactly the mindset people need to have.
And I know one of the common misconceptions when it comes to those Roth conversions, a lot of folks feel like that's got to be done in their working years. But for those listening today that are retired, these conversions, it's not too late to still make some of these Roth conversions, is it?
No, absolutely not. And actually, in a lot of cases, it makes sense. I've got clients that we wait until they retire. We get them maybe while they're still working. We get them into a plan where they can do Roth conversions. And if they want to do a little while they're still working, go get them. That sounds great. The more you can convert, the better. But once you stop working, your income goes way down. So guess what happens to your tax bracket? It goes way down. So let's say you were in the 22% tax bracket. When you retire, you might still be in the 22% tax bracket, but now you've got all of this leeway before you would get up to 24%. Well, you can use all of that for a conversion. Or you may jump all the way down to the lower tax bracket. Well, now you've got a ton that you could use. So again, I know I beat a dead horse. Make a plan, but sit down with a certified financial fiduciary and make a plan and make it long term and decide, do I want to do some while I'm still working? But and I would say in most cases, it actually makes a lot more sense to do it once you've retired, because you don't have to worry about a lot of that income that you would normally have from the job keeping your tax rate high.
Well, maybe you're in retirement. You feel like you missed the boat on those Roth conversions. Well, obviously, it's never too late to start making some of those changes. And maybe you're one of the listeners today that only thinks about taxes every April the 15th, but you're curious how year-round tax planning could save you money when it comes to your retirement. Well, let Tim Wood and the team at Safe Money Retirement, let them help you put that plan in place for your financial future. If you'd like to learn more, you'd like to schedule that 15-minute discovery call, Tim and his team, they are just a phone call away, and they have teammates standing by to get you on his calendar right now. 800-913-SAFE. Again, folks, that number is 800-913-7233. Or you can always reach Tim and his team online, safemoneyretirement.com. Again, it's safemoneyretirement.com. Well, Tim, we have had a great program here today, and we're very quickly running out of time. Hard to believe this half hour has just zipped right on by. But before we do run out of time, my friend, I'd like to leave the floor all yours for the final word.
Absolutely. Thanks, Kevin. It was a great show. I think that a lot of the things that we discussed today all come down to making a plan. Period. You need to sit down with someone that can look holistically at your entire retirement, look at taxes, look at the income that you need, make sure that your beneficiaries are set up, make sure that your kids know what assets you have so when you pass, they know what to do with them, make sure they know what your wishes are. Again, all of this stuff is making a plan. Make a plan. Sit down with someone that can help you make a wise plan that can be adjusted, that in football terms, we can call an audible every single year or 2 years or 3 years when things change. We can adjust the aim, but that we can make sure that we're still on target moving forward so you can have your own safe money retirement.
The preceding information does not represent tax, legal, or investment advice. Obviously, by contacting us now, you are only taking the first step towards protecting your retirement. No information presented today should be acted upon without meeting with a qualified, licensed insurance professional. It is important that you read all insurance contract disclosures carefully before making a purchase decision. Interest and other guarantees in annuity contracts are subject to the claims-paying ability of the insurance carrier that issued the contract. The tax consequences of annuity income should be considered with the help of a licensed tax professional. Rates and returns mentioned on this program may vary based on state availability and are subject to change without notice.